Well, hello, retro computing enthusiasts, electronics geeks. Mike here. Welcome back to my channel. And once again, we're going to take a look at the MGH80 project. When we last left me with the MGH80 project, I was using it to test out various LCD screens because I had a bunch of them recovered from junked equipment, and I wanted to test them and find out which ones worked and which ones didn't. And I'll tell you what, the MGH80 worked great for that. In fact, I still have a screen hooked up to it for the moment. Let me turn this on. And as you can see, we're still driving a screen with it. But something new has been added. What's this? Well, that's an FTDI USB to serial converter. Okay, you say, but there's no UART on the MGH80. Unless you get the serial accessory board and plug it on there, which clearly I have not done. So how can this be working? And is it working? Well, yes, if we zoom out a little bit, look at this. Yeah, I've got a serial monitor on there, adapted from my Jazz80 breadboard Z80 computer. And let me hit the reset button down here, and look at this. We have a serial connection between my laptop running TerraTerm and down here, the MGH80, without a UART. What is this witchery, you ask? Well, it's not witchery. It's called bit banging. It's a funny name for simply doing serial over a GPIO port, okay? So we've got an 8255 over here with 24 I/O lines on it. I'm using 11 of them to drive the LCD. So that leaves me with what, 13 that I can do other stuff with? So I grabbed 2 of them, and I'm using them to bit bang RS-232. Well, serial. We're not working at RS-232 voltage levels, but we're following the protocol otherwise. So I got one for transmit and one for receive, and we're hooked up over here. All it takes is a little bit of software, and you can bit bang serial out of GPIO lines. I was planning on doing this all along. I mean, I bought some of the serial plug-on cards, and I have all the parts to build up 1 or 2 of them. But for this particular case, I want to keep this as minimalist as possible. I might build up a more complete system in the future. I have a bunch of these MGH80 cards, several of the serial cards. I have the expansion cards. So I can build up a much more complete system. But with just 5 IC chips here, I want to see just how far I can take this system, this minimalist system. And, well, I've got a nice little monitor running here that allows me to do a few things. So I think I've taken it pretty far. Let me sit down here at the laptop. We'll run through some of the functions of the monitor here. So it's a pretty basic monitor. As I said, it is adapted from my Jazz80 breadboard computer project. I'll put a link in the upper right of this video to that project. It's been out for a few years now. I really need to get back to work on it because there's things I want to do with it, but it's kind of neat. So I wrote a monitor for it, and I thought, well, once I get serial going in and out of the MGH80 here, I can just put a modified version of my monitor on it and do all kinds of stuff with the MGH80. So I actually cut a bunch of stuff out of the monitor that is on the breadboard computer. In fact, the main thing you might see missing here, if you're familiar with the breadboard project, is BASIC. I don't have BASIC on here. That might come in the future. I've actually experimented with running BASIC on the MGH80, and it does kind of work. But until I get interrupt-driven I/O, it's kind of hard to actually get BASIC to recognize that you're sending it keyboard commands. So you can get stuck. I need to get interrupts working on it. So that's a project for the future. I'm thinking about ways that I can make interrupts work with bit banged I/O. Maybe I can just hook the the RX line up to the interrupt pin of the Z80, and when the start bit goes low, it can interrupt the Z80, and it'll know to hey, go receive a byte from the input line there. But I haven't implemented that yet in hardware or software, but that may come in the future. But even without interrupt-driven I/O, there's a lot I can do with this. We've got some functions here, memcopy, basically copy n bytes from origin to destination, copy a block of memory from one part of memory to another is what that does. Memdump, dump a 256 byte block of memory. We can run that. Origin, we'll just start at 0 in the EEPROM there. So there we go. There's the first 256 bytes of the monitor right there. What other functions have we got here? No, I don't want more. I can do question mark or H to get this back. So let's see, we can edit memory. So we edit, give it an address. I'll give it an address high up in RAM so we don't conflict with anything. Let's go with like 9500 in RAM. And so that's what's in the address there. So we can go 112233445566. Just overriding whatever was there originally, which should be just random nonsense because I haven't used that area of RAM for anything. Let's see, Q to quit. Now if we go back to dump and we dump that, let's see, 9500. There we are. There's the data I just wrote up there. So let's see, what else have we got here? Execute. Well, we'll get to that in a second. But basically, we'll jump to an address somewhere in memory and run a program. Well, actually, we can do that right now. Let's go to it, and we'll just go to restart the monitor. Yeah, there we go. But in a minute, we'll load a program, and we'll use that to jump to it. We've got hex load, load an Intel hex file into memory. We will try that in a little bit. And then we've got import and outport, basically, where we can read and write to I/O ports. So it's like I said, it's a basic monitor. It doesn't do a whole lot, but it's going to be very helpful for doing all kinds of stuff with the MGH80. For instance, I can write a program in assembly and assemble it, and then send it over into RAM with hex load, and then run it. So why don't we do that? So let's give this Intel hex loader program a try. I've got a little program that I wrote a while back that I can upload to it. Send file. Let's put in a per character delay of 5 milliseconds. I don't know that I need the whole 5 milliseconds, but it worked, so I haven't messed with it. And we'll go OK. All right. So let's go back and dump the area of memory again at 9500 hex. Oh, look at that. We got something different in there than what we programmed in before. What do you know? No, don't want more. So now let's go jump to 9500 and see what happens if we run that program up there. Go 9500. Oh, look at that. We've got endlessly repeating capital U's. So this program I wrote to help with getting the time delay loops on the bit banging right. Because the capital U, if you look at the data stream going through the RS-232, it's low, high, low, high, low, high, low, high. Basically, it's a square wave. So I can measure the frequency of the square wave with my oscilloscope and adjust the timing loops until I get the timing just right. And that has allowed me to get the timing right for 300 baud up to 4800 baud, what we're running now. So we can do 300 baud, We could do 1200 baud, 2400 baud, or 4800 baud, which is what we're doing now. I have not been able to get 9600 baud to work yet, but I might play with it a little more. I think if I just maybe massage the timing loops a little more, add or subtract a few no-ops, I might be able to get it to work at 9600 baud. There aren't a whole lot of spare processor clock cycles when you're, between bits when you're going that fast. So it's a bit of an issue, but I might be able to get it to work. But I think 4800 baud actually works pretty well for my purposes, for everything I'm going to want to do with the MGH80. I mean, if I'm just going to download a hex file to it, I don't care if it takes, a few seconds to download. That's fine. And for working with the monitor here, this is plenty fast enough. I'm not sitting here twiddling my thumbs while the screen updates, so I think I'm okay. We'll take a quick look at the software for implementing bit banging. I have a Southern Cross microprocessor trainer based on the Z80 that does bit banging. And my bit bang code here is based on the code for the Southern Cross, which is out there on GitHub. So, anybody can download it and play with it. I had to massage it a little bit to get it to work, but it does work. I also looked at the Tech 2 bit bang code, which is what Southern Cross is based on, and there's a little bit of difference between them. And my code's something of a compromise between the two of them to get it to work with the MGH80. We'll take a quick look at the code. All right, so as promised, let's take a look at the software that I'm using for bit banging on the MGH80. I found a couple of sites that explain exactly how to do this. I like this one a lot. It talks about bit banging on the Tech 1, which is an immediate predecessor to the Southern Cross trainer, which I have. I think I called it the Tech 2 before. It's the Tech 1. So bit bang serial for the Tech 1. That means no UART, only a latch for each direction. And, well, this part down here is pretty hardware specific to the Tech 1, so I wasn't too interested in that. What I was interested in was how the software worked, because I knew I could modify, the equates in the software to work with the MGH80. So, I mean, here's some source code right here, but even better, if we go back and we look here, but even better is this document, which shows not just the source code, but explains it in great detail, as well as showing the bit stream and how the code creates the bit stream. So this is a very helpful document. You might want to take note of the URL up here if you're interested in implementing bit bang. This will explain it, how it works. I couldn't get the code to work exactly as it was. I had to massage it a little bit, but yeah, this will explain how to transmit and how to receive. And to be perfectly honest, transmitting is a lot easier than receiving. So yeah, check that out if you're interested in bit banging. So another resource I used was the Southern Cross monitor source code here, which can be found again on GitHub, and again here's the URL. So if you're interested, check that out. I'm using version 18 of the Southern Cross monitor, and you gotta there's a lot here because the monitor does a lot of stuff, but you will find all of the routines for bit banging to the serial port in here. You just got to hunt for them, and all of the equates and all of the buffers and everything else, it's all in here. You just got to hunt for it. And this came in very handy too. Again, the code did not quite work for me. Right here, bit bang baud rate, so on and so forth. You'll find it scattered through here. But the code did not work for me, verbatim. I had to massage it a little bit. And like I said, it's kind of a cross between the Southern Cross code and the Tech 1 code. And, well, I got it up and running. So I'm pretty happy with it. So if you guys are interested in doing some bit banging, check out these two sources. If there's enough interest, let me know in the comments of this video. I might post the code I have written for the MGH80 on my website. I don't have a GitHub site, but I might post the code I have on my website if there's enough interest. I don't know how much interest there will be in this, but hey, let me know in the comments, and maybe I'll post it so that you can bit bang away with your MGH80 too. And I'm pretty happy with how the bit banging is working over here. Like I said, I might make an improvement in the future to make it interrupt driven. That's something that's not present in the Southern Cross code, so I'll have to come up with that on my own. Like I said, I have some ideas, so we'll see. I may make that work. If I can get interrupt-driven I/O going on the MGH80, I may put the basic interpreter back on it. Or if I build out a complete system and put an actual UART in the thing, I think basic will be a no-brainer addition. So what else have I done with the MGH80 since the last video? Well, as you can see, I'm still driving LCD screen here. I actually incorporated the instructions for driving the LCD screen into my minimal monitor over here. So I can call those from whatever program I want to run on this. If I need to have a screen with whatever application I'm doing with this, I can actually drive it. So that's nice. I've got that all built into the monitor. Do I actually need a screen? I'm not sure. It might be nice to have those 11 I/O bits back, and for some applications I may need them. But if I do need a screen, I could also get a screen with an I2C interface. That's only going to take 2 lines instead of 11, and I'll have to learn how to bit bang I2C, but I think that could be done too. I'm pretty confident after figuring out how to bit bang RS-232. I think I2C could be done too. In fact, I think that's the way I2C is implemented most of the time on microcontrollers, is by simply bit banging it out of a general purpose I/O port. So yeah, if they can do it, I can do it. What else? Well, so far that's about it, but that's a lot. Yeah, getting the bit banging working and getting the monitor working, that took a little while, but the monitor was actually easier than I thought, because I just had to replace the routines that sent data out and received data from the UART on my breadboard computer with the routines I wrote for bit banging. And that was pretty easy. I just had to do some other massaging of the monitor to get it working the MGH80 right, but we're there, and I'm pretty happy with it. If you guys are happy with this update and what I've done with the MGH80, give it a like, give it a thumbs up, and subscribe to see my future videos. I'll see you then. Bye.